In day 7 of the historic campaign finance trial against former President Trump, the former publisher of the National Enquirer returning to the stand, but not before both sides argued about the prosecution's request for gag order sanctions. As he left the courthouse, Trump said the gag order is unconstitutional. NTD's Arlene Richards has an update.
After attorneys debated whether former President Trump violated the gag order, former National Enquirer boss David Pecker returned to the stand. The judge did not make a decision on the gag order, but Trump commented on it this afternoon.
Well, I think the gag order is totally unconstitutional. Can't even allow articles to be put in. As an example, these are articles that were over the last day and a half. They're very good articles. They say the case is a sham and it shouldn't even be tried. It shouldn't have been submitted. And I don't even know if you're allowed to put them in. We have a gag order, which to me is totally unconstitutional. I'm not allowed to talk, but people are allowed to talk about me.
Pecker was granted immunity by prosecutors to testify about his so-called catch-and-kill strategies. Monday, Pecker candidly explained, "We used checkbook journalism and we paid for stories." He said during the 2016 presidential election, he purchased the rights to the Stormy Daniels affair allegations in order to shield Trump from embarrassment. Prosecutors are looking to establish that this case is about election fraud and that Pecker purchased damaging stories to benefit Trump while he was running for president. In the indictment, prosecutors did not identify any underlying crime that Trump was allegedly trying to cover up, which is required in order to elevate the 34 counts of financial records fraud to felonies. Through Pecker's testimony, prosecutors, for the first time, attempted to introduce an alleged conspiracy under New York election law, which prohibits conspiracies to promote the election of a specific candidate through unlawful means. The defense objected to the testimony, and the judge stopped it. Trump has said that Judge Juan Merchan is taking him off the campaign trail. The presumptive GOP nominee commented on the Pennsylvania election this morning.
So thank you very much. It's a big day in Pennsylvania, and we hope the people get out there and vote. It's important to vote, to let them know that we're coming on November 5th. We're coming big. Today is preliminary, but still it's very important.
Pecker testified for just over 2 hours in the last 2 days. The judge is expected to rule on the gag order sanctions by Thursday. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
Former President Trump's attorneys this morning defending his social media post in a separate hearing, the prosecution asking Judge Juan Merchan to remind him that incarceration is an option. Joining me now is William Trackman, General Counsel for Mountain States Legal Foundation, to analyze how the judge's gag order is impacting the former president's First Amendment rights. William Trackman, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, William. Given reports of Judge Merchan's donations to President Biden and potential financial benefits his daughter has gained from the case, I want to get your thoughts on this most recent gag order being expanded, particularly after Trump's criticisms. Might this be viewed as an infringement on his free speech?
Well, we're in unprecedented territory because we've never had, at the same time, a really high-profile criminal trial going on, and the defendant is running for president and is, in fact, the presumptive nominee. So here we have core political speech and a judge who's telling the criminal defendant, don't engage in that speech, and effectively don't defend yourself on the campaign trail, and don't do the things that you would naturally do if someone were attacking you, suppose another candidate. So it really is a unique situation, and it's interesting. I don't think there's any sympathy on the part of the judge in terms of recusal or limiting his activity in the case. So I think we're just going to proceed, and the Trump team will preserve the issue for appeal. And if there really is a gag order that prevents President Trump from doing something significant on the campaign trail, we may see some sort of appeal to the Supreme Court.
How does the gag order, which includes withholding the witness list from Trump's defense, impact the preparation for the trial? And could this situation form the basis of an appeal, particularly with the judge not recusing himself?
Well, it's clearly affecting Trump's speech on the campaign trail. So just over the last few days, there was apparently a tweet that said, we're not sure that all the jurors are going to be questioned accurately, and so maybe some folks fib their way onto the jury so that they have influence over the 2024 election. And when Trump commented on that, it became an issue for the prosecution to say, now you're attacking the witnesses. So here you really do have a unique conflict between Trump on the campaign trail and Trump as criminal defendant. I do think these are issues for appeal, but we might not even get there before it goes to a higher level, because the time between now and November is short, and President Trump needs every day on the campaign trail, just like President Biden has between now and November.
In light of David Pecker's testimony about the catch and kill tactic with stories, negative stories about Trump, how does this strategy compare to, say, the mainstream media's handling of the Hunter Biden laptop story, which now we know was certainly suppressed?
Well, it seems like one is being protected by the media and one is being gone after by the media. So obviously the Hunter Biden laptop story essentially died before the election because you had intelligence officials and the media saying it was no big deal, it was Russian disinformation. Here, Mr. Pecker's testimony appears relatively irrelevant to the main claims in the case. It is designed to embarrass President Trump and to make the jury think that there's a lot of stuff going on in the orbit of President Trump that is shady and illegitimate.
William Trackman, always appreciate your perspective. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
The Senate just passing the foreign aid package that the House passed over the weekend, providing several $billions in aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Will also include a bill that will force TikTok to break ties with its Chinese parent company. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley is joining me in studio to help break this all down. Jack, great to have you in here. As I mentioned, the Senate just passing the substantial foreign aid package, including aid, billions of dollars in assistance to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, along with a significant measure aimed at TikTok. Give us an overview of this package.
So, Steve, this package is a $95 billion package. It passed the Senate by overwhelmingly. It needed only 60 votes, but it got 80 to 19. So this funding, it's a procedural vote, but it's likely to pass either today or tomorrow. So with another vote. It'll reach President Biden's desk. He vowed to sign it. This package includes $61 billion in funding for Ukraine, $26 billion for Israel, and over $8 billion for Taiwan. Now, and the Indo-Pacific. Now, this bill also, as you said, would force TikTok to divest from its Chinese parent company ByteDance or be banned from U.S. app stores. I talked to some senators earlier. Let's take a look. I want to play some of those for you.
I think it sends a bad message to our European allies that we'll keep doing it. You know, when's it going to happen again in the future? We just asked that a moment ago. And you've got a bill like the TikTok bill thrown in with something totally different.
I mean, I think TikTok's a bad idea for this country. Look at the fact that on their websites you never, ever see anything about Tiananmen Square or the Dalai Lama. Any of the sensitive topics to the Chinese government never appear on TikTok. If that's not a clear admission that they are influencing and controlling the algorithms for their best interests, I don't know what is.
Every American company that wants to do business in China, like Dave McCormick, you have to make all kinds of concessions and do whatever the Chinese government demands. And we should be doing the same thing for any company that's in bed with the Chinese government as well, too.
So, Jack, it was rather impressive hearing from Democrats and Republicans in unity over something being against this, the TikTok application. Regarding that, the TikTok bill, what was the impetus behind the bill and what challenges did it face getting through Congress?
Right, so Steve, I learned a lot of these things of packaging these together. It happens behind closed doors, and when it comes to a vote, they get bundled together like this. Now, this bill about TikTok, it prompted by national security concerns. There's the concern that the Chinese government can readily access this data that's collected by users of TikTok. This makes TikTok users' personal information readily accessible by the Chinese regime. The Biden administration already banned TikTok on all government devices, and you know there has been calls by TikTok. They've been lobbying government officials and their users to not pass this bill, but as we can see, that hasn't happened.
Now, Jack, I want to get your thoughts on Speaker Mike Johnson. On the foreign funding in particular, he's faced some backlash from his colleagues on the Republican side. There have been calls to remove him as the Speaker of the House. Where does his favorability stand at this moment?
Right, so one of the most outspoken people against this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. there are other congressional Republicans. They say that securing the southern border should take precedence over supplying funding for foreign countries.
NTD's Jack Bradley, appreciate the update.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.